She will wear the uniform, carry the trays, and bow before my guests. That's all the respect a woman like her deserves. Those were the cruel words of a man who once vowed to love her. To him, his ex-wife was nothing but a shadow, humiliated and reduced to waiting tables at the very celebration of his new life. But what he didn't know was that destiny had written a different ending. Because on that wedding day, the woman he mocked was about to walk in with a surprise that would leave every single guest speechless. Sometimes the ones you cast aside rise in ways you can't escape. Sometimes the person you thought was beneath you is already standing on higher ground. This is the story of a woman whose pain turned into power and whose return became a moment no one could ever forget. And today, it is being retold by me. Hello family, welcome back. Before we begin, I have a small but heartfelt request. Please subscribe. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. Every time you click that button, you're helping us share voices that would otherwise be forgotten and stories that deserve to be heard. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from, because together, we are not just telling stories, we are keeping hope alive. The house smelled of roasted chicken, garlic, and fresh bread. Olivia Carter wiped her damp palms on her apron and stepped back from the table. Everything gleamed, the silverware polished until she could see her reflection, the wine glasses spotless, the flowers arranged in perfect symmetry. She glanced at the clock, her heart racing. He would be home any minute. She hurried to the bedroom and slipped into the blue silk dress. The one Daniel once said made her eyes look like ocean water. She pinned her hair neatly, just the way his mother always insisted. She checked the mirror, tried a smile, and whispered to herself, "He'll see tonight. He'll remember why he married me. He'll remember." The front door opened. Daniel Carter stepped inside, tall and sharp in his dark suit. His cologne hit the air before his words did. He set his briefcase down with a thud. His eyes swept the room, the candles, the flowers, the meal, and then landed on her. His lip curled. "This," he said, voice dripping with disdain. Olivia's heart skipped. "It's lemon butter chicken, your favorite. I thought we could have a quiet dinner together. Just us." Daniel tossed his jacket over a chair and laughed bitterly. "Lemon butter chicken. That's your grand idea? Olivia, I spend my days closing deals over Wagyu beef and vintage wine, and you think I'll come home excited about chicken?" Her cheeks burned. "I only wanted to make you happy." "Happy?" He sat heavily, pulling the plate toward him. "Do you think food makes me happy? Do you think this pathetic little housemaid act is what a man like me needs?" He shoved a piece into his mouth, chewed slowly, and spat his verdict. Dry. Bland. Useless. Her throat tightened. "I spent hours..." "Hours doing what?" He threw the fork down with a clang. "Stirring sauce? Folding napkins? You sit in this house all day, Olivia, and you still manage to fail at the only thing you're supposed to do." Tears pricked her eyes. "Daniel, please, don't talk to me like this. I try..." "Try?" He leaned forward, his eyes like daggers. "Trying isn't enough. Not for me. Do you think I work 12 hours a day just to come home to this? A woman with no ambition, no spark, no worth?" Her chest ached. "I gave up my career for you. I stayed home because you said you needed me." He sneered. "You gave up your career because you couldn't handle it. Don't lie to yourself. You were a glorified secretary. You left because you were weak, and I let you. Don't pretend you sacrificed for me." Her lips trembled. "Daniel, I sold my car so you could start your business. Do you remember that? It was my car, the one I loved, the one my parents gave me. I let it go because you needed money for inventory, and when you couldn't pay an accountant, I stayed up every night doing your books. When you were too nervous to call investors, I made the calls for you." Daniel slammed his hand on the table. The candles shook. "Stop rewriting history," he roared. "I built everything with my own hands. You were just there, a shadow in the background. Don't you dare take credit for what I achieved." Her tears spilled over. "I only wanted to stand beside you." "You were never beside me," he spat. "You were always behind me. That's where you belong. Behind. Invisible. Worthless. She flinched like he'd struck her. For a long moment, silence hung heavy between them. The only sound was the clock ticking on the wall. She whispered, "I love you." He laughed coldly. "Love? Olivia, I need more than love. I need a woman who matches me, who raises me higher. You don't do that. You never did." Her voice broke. "I gave you everything. And it wasn't enough." He pushed back his chair, standing tall, towering over her. "It never was. And it never will be." Olivia stood at the sink, rinsing dishes that were already clean. The silence in the house felt loud. She turned on the radio for noise, then turned it off. She pressed her palms to the counter. Breathe. Just breathe. The doorbell rang. She wiped her hands on her apron and opened the door. Sophia Blake stood there with a white bakery box and a smile that looked expensive. Her crimson dress hugged her frame. Her lipstick matched the dress exactly. "Olivia," she sang, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "I brought macarons, pistachio. Your favorite, right?" Olivia forced a smile. "That's kind. Thank you." Sophia handed her the box and looked around the living room like a buyer inspecting a house she didn't plan to keep. Still neat, still small, still safe. Her eyes flicked to the mantel, to the photos of Olivia and Daniel from better years. "Sweet. It's home," Olivia said softly. "Is it?" Sophia asked, tilting her head. Sophia leaned on the counter. "I wanted to check on you. Daniel mentioned you've been emotional." Olivia's throat tightened. "He said that?" "He worries," Sophia said, eyes softening with fake concern. "He's carrying a lot. It's not easy to be him." "I know," Olivia said. "I've tried to make things easy." Olivia looked up. "Why are you here, Sophia?" "To help," Sophia said, her voice bright again. "Woman to woman, friend to friend." "We are friends," Olivia said, and heard how small it sounded. Sophia stepped closer. "That's why I can say what others won't." She gestured at Olivia's dress, a soft sweater over a simple skirt. "You're still dressing like a volunteer at a church bake sale. Hair pinned like a schoolgirl. No shape, no edge, no statement. What message are you sending a man like Daniel? I will disappear, and I will not complain." Olivia swallowed hard. "He likes me simple." "He likes you obedient," Sophia corrected, "but he respects what shines." "I shine for him," Olivia said quietly. Sophia laughed. "You glow like a nightlight. He needs daylight." Olivia took a breath. "If you came here to insult me—" "I came to prepare you," Sophia said, voice cooling. "Things are moving. There will be lawyers, statements, announcements. Daniel wants it clean." "Wants what clean?" "The separation," Sophia said, like it was obvious. "The divorce." Olivia felt the floor tilt under her feet. "He sent you to tell me." "He trusts me," Sophia said. "He tells me things." "Things he doesn't tell his wife," Olivia said, and heard her own heart crack. Sophia's eyes brightened with a kind of bitter delight. "Exactly." Olivia reached for the counter to steady herself. "We can fix it." "No," Sophia said, gentle and firm at once. "You can't fix what was never right for him. You were a soft place to land when he had nothing. He doesn't want soft anymore." "I sold my car to fund his first shipment," Olivia said, voice thin. "I did his books when we couldn't afford help. I called investors. I stayed up nights writing his proposals. I hosted his clients. I cooked, cleaned, smiled. I gave up my job. I let my friends drift so I could be what he needed." Sophia's mouth curved. "It's sweet that you think that matters now." She picked up a macaron, turned it in her fingers, and then put it back. "Do you know what he told me the night he closed the Crestwell deal? He said, 'Sophia, talking to you feels like oxygen. I go home and I feel like I'm drowning.'" Olivia's knees weakened. She reached for a chair and missed. Sophia took one step forward like she might catch her, then didn't. "He said that?" Olivia whispered. Sophia hummed. "Men tell the truth when they feel safe, and he feels safe with me." Olivia's eyes filled. "We used to laugh together." "You used to," Sophia said. "But then he grew, and you didn't. I tried to grow with him. You tried to hold him still." Olivia flinched. "I wanted him safe." Sophia's voice softened, which made it more cruel. "You wanted him small enough to stay in your hands." "That's not fair," Olivia said. Her voice wobbled. "I wanted him to be happy." "And he is," Sophia said. "With me." They stood in silence a moment. The kitchen clock ticked. Outside, a delivery truck rumbled past. "Why me?" Olivia asked. "You could have any man. Why mine?" Sophia's eyes flashed. "Because you had what I wanted and you never knew how to hold it. Because I watched you walk into rooms beside him and disappear. Because you let him talk and you never learned to speak. Because your quiet made me crazy." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a hiss. "Because I hated the way he looked at you. I wanted that look. Now I have it." Olivia blinked fast. "You were my friend." "I was a witness," Sophia said. "To your waist." Olivia pressed her lips together until they hurt. "He will regret this." "Maybe," Sophia said with a light shrug. "But not tonight, and not tomorrow." She reached into her purse and pulled out a plain envelope. She set it on the counter. "He asked me to bring this. His lawyer's draft. It's simple. Sign where they marked and this will be quick." Olivia stared at the envelope. "He couldn't give this to me himself?" "He's busy," Sophia said. "And honest talk makes you cry." "I'm not crying now," Olivia said, even though tears had dried in brittle lines on her cheeks. Sophia smiled. "Good girl." She turned to go, then paused and faced Olivia again. "One more thing. Don't show up to his events unless invited. Don't text or call him during work hours. Don't talk to his parents without going through him. Don't touch the company card. Don't post anything online. Don't embarrass him." "Embarrass him," Olivia said, raw and tired. "He is divorcing me for my friend." "Correction," Sophia said, smooth and bright. "He is divorcing you for his future." Olivia's voice dropped to a whisper. "How long?" Sophia's eyes gleamed. "Long enough." Olivia covered her mouth with her hand. A small sound escaped, not quite a sob, more like a sound a glass makes when it cracks. Sophia glanced at the clock. "I have a fitting in 20 minutes. Daniel likes red. You should donate your red dresses. They don't suit you." "I don't have any," Olivia said. "Of course you don't," Sophia said, and walked out. The door shut. The house was quiet again. Olivia stood very still, the envelope in her hand, the macarons on the counter like a joke. She opened the envelope with careful fingers. Legal language, names, dates, irreconcilable differences. A line for a signature. She sat at the table and laid the papers down. Her eyes drifted to the wedding photo on the shelf. The young man in the picture had eyes that looked like oceans and promise. The young woman beside him looked like someone who thought love would be enough. Olivia pressed her palm to the table's wood grain. The same table she and her mother had chosen. The same table where she had rolled out pastry on Sunday mornings and balanced the books at midnight. She thought of the car she sold, the ring she had pawned for a month of payroll, the nights she fed his optimism with her own while the numbers didn't make sense yet. She thought of telling her parents, "He needs me," and her father replying, "But who will need you when he doesn't?" The phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should know where your husband is tonight." A photo followed. Daniel in a private dining room, Sophia's face lit by candlelight, his hand on her knee under the table, 2 glasses of red wine, a small jewelry box near the bread plate. Olivia put the phone face down and sat there with the sound of her own breath in her ears. She stayed like that a long time until it was dark, until the house felt like a stranger's. She stood, washed the untouched bakery box from her hands, and cleaned the counter again. Then she changed into a plain black dress and pinned her hair tight. The invitation to Friday's family dinner was still on the fridge. She stared at it. She reached up and smoothed it flat. She would go. She would be gracious. She would not beg. She would stand through whatever they did to her, and then, somehow, she would still be standing. The Carter family home looked like a magazine spread. White stone, tall hedges, glass that didn't show fingerprints. Olivia walked up the steps with a small box in her hands. Handmade truffles. She had tied the ribbon 3 times to make sure it lay smooth. Daniel opened the door. He looked past her first, as if checking who might be watching. Then his eyes landed on the ribbon. He frowned. "Don't make it sentimental," he said. "Keep the night clean." "I brought them for your mother," Olivia said. "She likes dark chocolate." "Don't get in the way," he said, and turned to go. "Olivia," Daniel's mother said, pressing 2 air kisses so far away they felt like threats. "You look respectful." "Thank you," Olivia said and held out the truffles. "For you." Daniel's mother took the box, lifted the lid, and peered in like a customs officer searching a suitcase. "Oh, homemade." She set the box aside without tasting one. "How quaint." Daniel clinked his glass. "Everyone take your seats." Olivia looked for a place near him. A chair at the end was empty. A folded place card sat in front of it. Olivia. Far from Daniel, far from anyone she might call ally. She took her seat and folded her hands in her lap. Daniel's mother leaned towards Sophia. "That dress is stunning. Finally, someone who understands presentation." Sophia touched her earring. "Thank you. Daniel likes me in red. He says it looks like a decision." Laughter around her. Olivia lowered her eyes. Halfway through the main course, Daniel stood. He tapped his glass. The room fell into an easy hush, the kind given to a man who always expects to be heard. "Family, friends," he said, voice smooth. "Thank you for coming on short notice. I wanted to tell you something important myself, in person." Olivia clasped her hands and willed herself to be still. "Olivia and I," Daniel said with a practiced sigh, "are ending our marriage." A few gasps. A moan from an aunt who liked gossip more than people. Someone said, "Finally," under their breath. Someone else said, "Shh, be kind," without meaning it. Daniel continued, "It has been clear for some time that we want different things. I move fast. I need a partner who can keep pace. Olivia is stable, gentle. She has many domestic gifts." He let the room laugh before he finished. "But she is not the partner I need in the life I am building." Olivia felt heat crawl up her neck. She stared at the white plate in front of her and fixed on a tiny scratch near the rim. She breathed in. Outside, Daniel lifted his glass towards Sophia. "In the spirit of clarity, I also want you to meet the woman who is." Eyes turned. Sophia gave a small, bashful wave that did not match her eyes. "Some women," Daniel said, smiling toward the head of the table, "lift a man higher. That is who that is. Sophia is to me." Sophia stood for a moment and rested a hand on his arm. "We didn't plan to say anything yet," she said, coy and practiced, "but honesty is healthy. We're together." An uncle whistled. A cousin clapped. Daniel's mother said, "At last," with a bright relief that stung like alcohol on a wound. Olivia heard her own voice leave her mouth before she knew she was speaking. "Daniel!" He looked down the table at her. His smile thinned. "Olivia, not now." "I want to say something," she said, standing because her body thought standing might help her breathe. "Please." The room watched. Forks paused mid-air. Sophia slid back into her chair, eyes bright. Olivia's hands shook, but her voice surprised her. It was soft, but it held. "I want to say I loved you," she said, looking at Daniel. "I still do. I gave you everything I had. I sold my car when the bank said no. I pawned my ring for a month of payroll when the supplier demanded cash. I stayed up nights doing your books so the numbers would make sense to a lender. I called investors when you were too nervous to hear no. I cooked for your clients. I ironed your shirts at 2 in the morning because you had to look right for the meeting at 8. I covered for you when you froze. I told you you were brave when you felt small. Her throat closed. She swallowed and kept going. I let my friends go because you said they didn't fit your image. I told my parents you were good even when they said you would break me. I stopped talking so you could have all the words in the room. Silence. The kind that comes after a siren. Then laughter from the middle of the table. It was sharp and mean and tried to sound like a cough. A cousin, the one with the yacht story. Is this a speech? Daniel's mother dabbed at the corner of her eye as if a tear might be coming. Oh, Olivia, that's very moving. But this is a dinner, not a diary. Daniel's father cleared his throat. The past is the past, he said. Business is forward. Olivia tried again. I stood beside him when he had no world. And now he has one, Daniel's father said. The right one. Daniel raised his glass again and smiled down the table with the warmth of a man toasting himself. To clarity, he said. To growth. To a future big enough for people who can keep up. Glasses lifted, crystal sang. Olivia set her hand flat on the tablecloth. It felt like a wave about to pull her under. Sophia leaned forward, voice pitched for Olivia but loud enough to carry. Don't make this uglier than it needs to be, she whispered. Sign quickly. Don't ask for much. Keep your dignity. And don't show up where we are. It looks needy. Something in Olivia, small, stubborn, pushed back. I'm not needy, she said. Sophia's smile was almost kind. You are, but it's not your fault. Outside, the air was cool. Olivia stood on the stone steps and stared down at her shoes. She could hear laughter through the door behind her, muffled and happy. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You should know where your husband will be after this. Another photo. A hotel suite. A bottle of champagne. A pair of shoes kicked off near the bed. Sophia's red dress on a chair. Daniel's jacket on the floor. Olivia's hands shook. She sat on the bottom step because her legs would not hold her. She pressed her palms together and bowed her head, not to pray exactly, just to hold the pieces of herself in place. A car horn down the street. A dog barked twice and went quiet. The night felt large. She stood. She walked to the sidewalk. She did not look back. On the ride home, the city slid by like a film with the sound turned low. She watched her own reflection in the window, a face washed of color, hair pinned too tight, a dress that felt like a costume for a role she had already lost. At her apartment, she set her bag on the chair and turned on one small lamp. The room looked like a waiting room, like Sophia had said. She did not mind that tonight. Waiting felt honest. She poured a glass of water. She drank half. She set it down and picked up a pen. She opened her old notebook and wrote in neat lines. He ended it in front of everyone. They laughed. They called me small. They called me nothing. She paused. Her hand shook. She set the pen down and then picked it up again. I sold my car. I pawned my ring. I cooked food, wrote proposals, made calls, smiled until my face hurt. I gave up my seat in rooms so he could take it. I gave him every soft, steady thing I had. She breathed. The room hummed with the old heater clicking on and off. They said it meant nothing. But it did. It meant I can give and I can build and I can stand and I can try again. She closed the notebook. She stood in the quiet and pressed her hand to her chest. Her heart beat against her palm. Slow, stubborn. Prove them wrong, she said out loud, and her own voice didn't sound like a stranger's anymore. She turned off the lamp. The room went dark, but she could still see enough to find the bed, enough to lie down, enough to know she would sleep, and then she would wake. And then she would do the next thing. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give future to children and women abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing to hitting the subscribe button and turning on your notification bell. Also, let us know in the comments where you are watching us from and how this story hit home for you. The apartment smelled like bleach and loneliness. Olivia Carter sat at the small kitchen table, staring at the stack of bills. Red stamps screamed past due across the envelopes. The numbers blurred through her tears, but the meaning was clear. She was drowning. Her stomach growled, but the fridge held only half a loaf of bread and a jar of mustard. She reached for the bracelet on her wrist, the last thing her mother had given her before she died. Her hands shook as she unclasped it. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered, wrapping it in tissue. By afternoon, it was gone, pawned for cash to pay the rent. Everywhere she went, whispers followed her. At the market, she heard them behind her back. "Isn't that Daniel Carter's ex? She looks so thin. Shame." I heard Sophia said she went crazy, always crying, calling him. Of course he left her. Look at her. Her cheeks burned. She pressed her hands against the cart handle to steady herself and pretended not to hear. It was worse in public places. Once, at a cafe, she saw Sophia seated at a patio table surrounded by women who used to fill Olivia's home with chatter and laughter. Sophia leaned across the table, her voice sweet but sharp enough to carry. Poor Olivia. She just couldn't handle Daniel's success. He needed a real partner, not dead weight. The women gasped and giggled, and Olivia felt every giggle like glass cutting her skin. Daniel added his poison when needed. When people asked why the divorce happened, he had an answer ready. She wasn't built for this world. She was bitter. She tried to hold me back. Soon, Olivia wasn't Olivia anymore. She was a story they told, rewritten until she no longer recognized herself. She tried to rebuild the ordinary way. She applied for jobs, receptionist positions, clerk roles, office assistant openings. At first, managers smiled and nodded during interviews, impressed with her neat answers and steady presence. "We'll be in touch," one promised. But hours later, the call came. "We've decided to move in another direction." Another firm cancelled her interview outright. Finally, a woman in HR whispered across the phone line, "Off the record, Daniel Carter told firms not to hire you. Said you'd bring trouble. I'm sorry." Olivia hung up slowly. Her chest felt hollow. Daniel wasn't content with leaving her. He wanted her erased. Rent was due again. She sold her last designer bag, a gift from Daniel's first big bonus. Then came the humiliations. She took a cashier job at a cafe, wiped tables, carried trays. Customers whispered, "Isn't that Daniel Carter's ex? Serving coffee?" She smiled as she cleared plates, though inside she was breaking. Two women from her old circle walked in one afternoon, their perfume sharp, their eyes sharp too. They stared, leaned close and whispered, just loud enough. She must be desperate. Olivia kept her head down, her cheeks burning hot. At night she sat at the kitchen table writing lists under the weak yellow light. Rent, groceries, laundry coins. Every number mocked her. Sometimes she wept into her hands, shoulders shaking, but always she picked up the pen again. It was in that cafe on a grey morning that she heard the voice. "Olivia!" She turned. Mr. Harris, her old boss. His hair was greyer, but his eyes still sharp. "Mr. Harris," she said softly, tugging at her apron. "What are you doing here?" Her throat tightened. "Working." He frowned. "This isn't where you belong." "What happened?" "Life," she whispered. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Come see me tomorrow. My office." His office was small, lined with books. He poured her coffee and sat across from her. "You gave up too much," he said bluntly, "for a man who didn't deserve it. But I remember you. Detail-oriented. Steady. You have discipline. Use it." Her eyes burned. "I don't know where to start." "One step at a time," he said. "Study. Learn. Build quietly. Let the world think you're broken while you prepare. She swallowed. Do you think I can? I know you can, he said, if you're willing to bleed for it. So she bled. Days, she worked odd jobs, cafe shifts, cleaning offices, babysitting. She came home exhausted, but instead of collapsing, she opened books. She studied contracts, accounting, logistics. Nights, she wept quietly into her pillow, then dried her face and kept reading. Mr. Harris coached her. He introduced her to small investors. She's not flashy, he told them, but she delivers. They gave her tiny contracts. She cooked in her small kitchen, decorated with dollar store balloons, scrubbed floors herself at 2 a.m. Clients raved. Professional, seamless, delicious. Word spread. Her first haul was an old, crumbling building on the city's edge. She bought it cheap, painted it herself, polished the floors, hung lights. She hosted a wedding there, a small one, but magical. The guests whispered, "This feels like a dream." She bought another hall, then 2. Her company name began appearing on invitations, whispered with respect. Her staff grew. Her kitchen expanded. Investors sought her out. Meanwhile, Daniel and Sophia still paraded at galas, still mocked her name in public. Olivia? She's bitter. She's trying to play businesswoman now. Sophia laughed at brunches, her voice dripping with venom. But Olivia smiled in silence. She had no need to answer. Her empire was answering for her. One crisp morning, her assistant burst into the office holding a folder. "Big news! We just booked a wedding. Huge, high profile. Groom is Daniel Carter." Olivia froze. Her pen stopped mid-line. "Daniel Carter," she repeated softly. "Yes, and his bride, Sophia Blake." The assistant beamed. "They chose our catering package, and the Grand Crestwell Hall." Her hall. The very hall Daniel once laughed at her for not affording. Olivia leaned back slowly, calm face masking her pounding heart. She flipped through the contract. Daniel's bold signature. Sophia's elegant flourish. Her lips curved into a small, sharp smile. "Yes," she said. "Confirm it." The assistant left. Olivia stood by the tall window, looking down at the city. The same city that had mocked her, gossiped about her, discarded her. Now it rented her halls, ate her food, whispered her company's name with respect, and Daniel had no idea. On his wedding day, the woman he once called worthless, invisible, dead weight, would own the ground beneath his feet. And when the time came, she would not stay silent. The marble floors of the Grand Crestwell Hall gleamed as though they had been waiting their entire lives for this day. Chandeliers blazed, flowers dripped from tall vases, and servers dressed in black and white moved like clockwork under Olivia Carter's quiet command. Her hall, her staff, her empire. But Daniel Carter didn't know. When he walked in for the rehearsal with Sophia glittering on his arm, Olivia was already there in uniform, hair pulled into a tight bun, clipboard in hand. To him, she looked like just another server. He saw her immediately, of course. He wanted her to see him see her. His mouth curled into a grin. "Well," he said, loud enough for the entire room, "if it isn't my favorite volunteer." Sophia turned her head and followed his gaze. When her eyes landed on Olivia, her smile widened into something cruel. "Oh, Daniel," she said sweetly, "you didn't tell me we'd have familiar help." Daniel stepped closer. His voice dropped low, but not low enough to keep others from hearing. "On my wedding day, she will serve. She will wear the uniform, carry the trays, and bow before my guests. That's all the respect a woman like her deserves." The words rang across the marble. Staff froze mid-step. A florist pretended to rearrange stems, but her hand shook. Olivia did not flinch. She lowered her clipboard and said evenly, "Understood. I'll be where you want me." Daniel smirked, waiting for a crack. When he didn't see one, he laughed. "Try not to drop anything," he said. "Careful with the champagne, Olivia," Sophia added, her voice sharp as glass. "It stains." They walked away, laughing at something small and mean. Maya, the event coordinator, came to Olivia's side. "Boss," she whispered, keeping her eyes forward. "You sure about this?" Olivia's expression didn't change. "We stick to the plan, no mistakes." "And the other plan?" Maya asked softly. Olivia tapped the clipboard once with her pen. "Only if the time is right." Guests arrived the next afternoon in gowns and tuxedos, dripping diamonds and whispers. The hall blazed with light, every corner perfect. Olivia moved among them with a tray of champagne, head slightly bowed, the picture of obedience. But the whispers reached her ears. "Is that her?" "It is. Serving drinks. After everything he gave her. How humiliating." "Fitting, don't you think?" A woman in emerald silk murmured, "I heard she begged to work here. He took pity." Another whispered back, "I almost feel sorry for her." Almost. Olivia poured champagne and moved on, her face calm. Inside, her heart beat steady, each pulse like a drum guiding her forward. Sophia made her entrance with the flourish of a queen. Her dress glittered, her smile practiced. She spotted Olivia across the room and glided over with deliberate slowness so others could notice. "My train," she said, tilting her chin. "It's dragging." Olivia set her tray aside, knelt and adjusted the fabric. She stood, smoothed the fold. "Better?" "For now," Sophia replied. Then, loud enough for nearby guests, "Imagine falling so low you end up here. I'd die before serving at my ex's wedding." Laughter rippled around them. Olivia simply picked up her tray again and walked away. The night unfolded. Courses were served, wine poured, music swelling from the quartet. Daniel basked in the attention, shaking hands, kissing cheeks, bragging about his latest ventures. He gestured toward Olivia once, grinning at his circle of admirers. "We believe in giving second chances," he said, his eyes glittering. "Some people are happiest when they serve." The circle laughed, sipping their champagne. Olivia moved past them like shadow. She didn't look back. When it was time for the toasts, the master of ceremonies took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "please raise your glasses for the bride and groom." Daniel seized the microphone before anyone else could. He grinned, basking in the spotlight. "I'll start," he said. "I always start." The guests laughed on cue. "Tonight is about love," he said. "But it's also about destiny. Some people are built for the big stage, some are built to clap, and some," he turned his gaze deliberately toward Olivia, who stood by the champagne wall, "are built to serve." The laughter this time was thinner, edged with discomfort. A few people looked down at their shoes. Sophia took the mic next, her voice dripping with sugar. "I'm grateful," she said, "to every woman who showed me what not to be. I'm grateful for the wrong doors that closed so I could walk through the right one, in a dress that finally fits." A cheer went up. Glasses clinked. Olivia's hands tightened on her tray. For a moment her silence tasted like iron. Then the MC smiled. "And now, before dessert, a quick word from our floor captain, who's made tonight possible." He glanced down at the card Olivia had written days ago. "Please welcome Olivia." The room stirred. Guests whispered. Daniel's smile froze. Sophia's fingers whitened around her glass. Olivia set her tray down and walked calmly to the stage. Her black and white uniform glowed under the lights. She looked every bit the servant, until she reached the microphone. She placed her folded apron on the podium. Her voice was clear, calm, steady. "Good evening. Thank you for trusting us with your night." A ripple of relief ran through the crowd. Good, they thought. She'll say something small, polite, forgettable. But Olivia's eyes swept the room. "Before we pour the champagne," she said, "there is something you should know about this house." Maya, at the back, straightened. Ria, head of security, folded her arms and nodded once. Jonah, at the AV booth, dimmed the lights to a soft 70. The chandeliers glowed like stars. Olivia untied her apron fully, folded it in half, then in half again, and laid it neatly on the podium. She looked out at Daniel and Sophia, radiant, smug, certain of their place above her. Then she said, "This hall belongs to me." The room gasped. Glasses paused mid-air. Daniel's smile broke. Sophia's face drained of colour. Olivia stood tall, no longer a servant, no longer bowed. Calm, composed, radiant. The master of the house. And the night was no longer theirs. "Tonight's wedding has been hosted in one of my halls. This service, these staff, this event, every detail belongs to me." The words struck the room like glass shattering. For a moment, no one breathed. Then gasps rolled through the tables. Guests leaned forward, eyes wide. Daniel Carter blinked at her, his mouth opening but no sound coming. Sophia Blake's perfect smile collapsed, her face twisting into panic. Olivia Carter stood tall under the lights, calm, steady, radiant. Not a server, not a shadow. The master of the house. Daniel finally found his voice. He barked out a laugh, brittle and sharp. "Cute," he said, waving at her as if she were a child putting on a play. "The help is trying to be funny." Sophia gripped his arm. "Daniel, what is she doing?" she hissed. Olivia didn't look at them. She lifted the microphone closer. "Many of you know me only as Daniel Carter's former wife. Some of you only remember me as the quiet one, the woman in the background. But while I was being erased from rooms like this, I was building. For 3 years, I worked. I studied, I invested. And I bought the halls where people like you celebrated." A murmur rippled through the crowd. "This hall," Olivia said, lifting her hand, "is mine. These staff are mine. Every light, every song, every glass of champagne poured tonight belongs to me." Sophia let out a sharp laugh. "Lies! This is delusion." Olivia's calm gaze shifted to the AV booth. Jonah, waiting, pressed a key. The massive screen behind the band flickered to life. On it appeared the deed to Crestwell Hall. Buyer, Olivia Carter. Holdings LLC. Signed, dated, stamped. Gasps. People craned their necks, squinting at the name. Then came another deed, another hall, and another. Familiar venues, some where Daniel and Sophia had flaunted their love, all under Olivia's name. Daniel's jaw dropped. "Fake!" he shouted. "You forged those!" From the balcony, a man stood. "Mr. Harris." "I can confirm," he said firmly. "These are legitimate documents. I represent Olivia's investors. Everything you're seeing is authentic." The guests whispered louder now. Daniel's father shifted uncomfortably. His mother's lips pressed tight. Business partners exchanged looks that smelled like smoke before fire. Olivia didn't gloat. She simply nodded. Receipts don't lie. The screen shifted. An email appeared, from Sophia Blake to the hall's booking office. "Please confirm the Saturday date. Daniel insists on the grand staircase. Also, make sure the servers look humble." Sophia's face drained of colour. "That's out of context," she said quickly. Another slide. Text messages. Daniel to a contact. "Blacklist her. Don't let her get hired. She's poison." Then, "On my wedding day, she will serve. She will bow." A collective gasp swept the hall. A woman covered her mouth. Someone muttered, "My God!" Daniel lunged forward, rage sparking in his eyes. "How did you get those?" he demanded. "You hacked me. This is illegal." Olivia's voice stayed cool. "Discovery. Obtained legally. Shared with my legal team and investors." Jonah pressed again. Another slide filled the screen. A credit card statement. Jewelry purchased on the foundation's account. An email. "Reclassify this as donor engagement. If anyone asks, use Olivia's name." People like that. Like. At a front table, a foundation board member stood abruptly, face dark. "We'll discuss this tomorrow," he said coldly, and left the room. 2 more followed. Sophia spun toward Daniel, fury breaking through her panic. "You used the foundation's card for my ring?" Daniel snapped back. "You told me to buy it. Optics, you said." "I didn't tell you to steal," she hissed. Their guests stared, whispers hissing like snakes. The fairy tale was crumbling in real time. Another message appeared on screen. Sophia to Daniel. She'll sign if we starve her of air. Daniel. Already told firms she's poison, she'll fold. A collective groan swept the hall. Faces turned away from them. Daniel's investors looked disgusted. Sophia's bridesmaids exchanged uneasy glances. Sophia's voice shook. "Delete them! You were supposed to delete those!" Daniel sneered. "You told me to make her bow." "I didn't tell you to get caught," she snapped. The room broke into open whispers now, louder, more hostile. One investor rose from his chair. "Consider our partnership suspended, Daniel, indefinitely." Daniel's face turned red. He looked around wildly. "This is all lies. You're all fools if you believe her." He jabbed his finger at Olivia. "You're nothing. You're a bitter ex-wife in a borrowed uniform." Olivia tilted her head. "Not borrowed, paid for, like everything in this hall." Applause broke, small, scattered, but real. Servers, assistants, even a few guests. Sophia's mask cracked. Her voice rose, shrill. "You think anyone will remember you as a queen after tonight? They'll remember you kneeling at my feet, fixing my dress, bowing with a tray in your hands." Olivia's gaze softened. "Service isn't shame. It's skill. The shame is using people and calling it love." The words landed heavy. In the corner, a dishwasher wiped his eyes. A staff member straightened, with pride. Guests murmured, uncomfortable, knowing she was right. Daniel pointed at the screen. "I'll sue you. For defamation, for theft, for whatever I can." Mr. Harris's voice carried from the balcony. "With what money, Daniel?" "You've already lost your investors." The silence that followed was devastating. Sophia ripped off her veil, the fabric tearing. "You humiliated me," she screamed at Daniel, "in front of everyone." "You told me to," he barked back. They were no longer bride and groom. They were enemies clawing at each other before the cake was even cut. Olivia set the microphone down gently. "This could go on forever," she said to the room. "But I've said enough." She turned to Daniel and Sophia one last time. "You taught me betrayal, and betrayal made me stronger. You laughed at my fall, but tonight, you celebrated in my palace." Maya's voice echoed softly over the staff radios. "Open the terrace." The great doors swung, letting night air spill in. Guests drifted toward the open space, some leaving outright, others whispering with disgust. Olivia folded her apron, placed it neatly on the podium, and walked down the stage. Her staff stepped aside, reverent. Some clapped quietly as she passed. Rhea fell in beside her like a shield. At the front entrance, reporters leaned over the velvet rope. "Ms. Carter, a statement." She paused, her expression calm. "Tonight belongs to the guests. Make sure they get home safe." She walked into the cool night air, her head high, her heart steady. Behind her, Daniel shouted, Sophia cried, investors stormed out. Their empire collapsed before it even began. Olivia didn't need to watch. She had already won. In the weeks that followed, the news spread. Daniel lost contracts, investors, reputation. Sophia was dropped from boards, her face unwelcome at brunch tables where she once ruled. Their marriage, meant to be a spectacle of triumph, became a cautionary tale. Olivia, meanwhile, kept working. She signed paychecks, bought another hall, and walked her venues at night when they were empty, grateful for the flaws that had carried her rise. When people whispered her name now, it wasn't with pity, it was with awe. Betrayal had broken her once, but resilience had built her empire, and those who laughed at her downfall had ended up renting space in the palace she owned.